I went to record this video and I realized I forgot to brew my pot of coffee for the morning. And so I brewed it right before I came down here. But that means that this first cup is super concentrated because I hadn't let it finish. So we're just going to enjoy very dense coffee and trophies. Welcome back, everybody. This is the monthly trophy log update video where I go through all the trophies that I earned in this case, November. Now, I'm recording it in December, hence the festive bandana, the festive headwear. But this is everything I earned over the last month, the last 30 days or so. We're just going to talk through them, share some stories and see how I did. All right, we're kicking it off right away with the Mad Rat Dead Platinum. So this is a phenomenal game. I talked about it in last month's video, but if you weren't there for that one, it's a rhythm platformer, like rhythm splatformer, I guess, if you use that term. So think of almost like a Super Meat Boy or Celeste meets Crypt of the Necrodancer meets a 2D platformer. It's very interesting. It's not too bad once you get the hang of it in normal mode, but having to go through and play on hard mode is just ridiculously difficult. There's like very complicated patterns you have to keep in your head, and you have to make sure you're maintaining a good enough combo and a good enough pace through the level to get these S+ ranks. This one took me a really long time, especially the last boss, because the way that it's set up is you have X number of beats to finish a level. So the last boss, you have 999 beats. And in order to get S+ rank, one of the conditions, not the only condition, but one of them is you have to beat it with at least 150 beats remaining. So that's like the way that the game measures kind of like a fast time. And if you play really optimally and don't make any real big mistakes at all, you're going to finish it with like 160 beats. Like, there is almost no margin for error, and these beats are fast because it's the highest tempo song in the game, or one of the highest tempo songs in the game. It's like boom 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 boom, and you're having to press the buttons on that beat consistently and hitting them in order to get the S+. So this is actually one where at first I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this, but we knocked it out, and we're proud to be one of the 27 achievers of this one. Only a 7% rarity, which feels pretty good because it's an actual like skill-based rarity, right? Some of these rarities that are this low are just because the game is a massive slog, but this one is because, you do have to play the game twice, but it's really because of that harder difficulty and getting all those S ranks. So I was pretty proud of myself. I thought that was pretty good. Then we moved into Pistol Whip. So I got the prescription lens inserts last month that go into your PlayStation VR headset. They like 3D print them, and then you clip them in, and it means that I don't have to wear my glasses when I'm playing VR, which makes me way more likely to want to play VR. And so I've been playing a couple of VR games. I think this is the only one that's going to show up here, but there might be one more. I can't remember. But Pistol Whip is a rhythm-based kind of on-the-beat arena shooter. So funny that I went right from Mad Rat Dead, which is an on-the-beat rhythm platformer, and then now Pistol Whip is an on-the-beat rhythm arena shooter. But I like rhythm games, what can I say? And it's got a really doable platinum. You have to just kind of like achieve a bunch of different conditions that you wouldn't maybe necessarily get on your own, but none of them on their own are too tough. There's a couple that'll take some time. So this one synchronized. Actually, this one was glitched on me. So the way that the game works is there's, again, a driving beat, kind of a boom, 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 boom. It's going along with the music that you're listening to, usually kind of like electronic or pop music. And you need to shoot on the beat to hit the enemies. And if you then shoot on the beat correctly, it gives you a little symbol that lets you know you were on the beat. And so to do this one, you have to empty an entire clip of your gun, which is like 16 bullets or something like that, without ever going off beat. And so I did this a bunch of times, but for some reason the game was bugged out and it wasn't registering it. And then in the second time I played the game, so I like closed out of the app, and then the next day I came back and I got it right away first try. So I think it was just something about this had glitched out, and it was just not unlocking it despite the fact that I was meeting the conditions. But I saw online that happens to some people, so I wasn't too worried about it. And then, yeah, the next day I was able to unlock that one, no problem. Got to kill all enemies in a scene without missing a shot. This one can be kind of tricky because they hide enemies. So the way that the game is working is you're on kind of like a track, and you're always moving forward, and you're looking around at the various enemies. And most of them will pop up kind of in your field of view or in your peripheral vision, right? Because they want you to see them and shoot them on beat. But the game will, like, off to the side, like in between two buildings off in the distance, there'll be like a hidden enemy that flies by. And most levels have a couple of hidden enemies like that, and so you really just have to go find a level where you can find all the hidden enemies, and then the remainder of them aren't too difficult to get. There's a couple levels like that. It's if you just poke around for a little bit, you'll find one. Travel 15 kilometers, that's just going to happen naturally, probably before you finish all these other trophies. Finish any scene on hard using the pistol Deadeye style. So this takes away the game's auto-aim, which, I mean, it's not too hard. I mean, hard is tricky, but you can kind of just, like, blast your way, and as long as you're dodging, you're kind of doing this, like, you dodge by, you take damage when bullets hit what would be your head, and so your head is the hitbox, and so you end up doing this kind of, like, circle motion to constantly stay out of the range of enemy fire. And so as long as you're doing that, you'll get this one. Finish any scene without hitting an enemy. That one's not too bad either, but you do have to be careful because some levels it's like not really possible. There are enemies that will appear like directly in front of you and run right towards you that you'll have to like really sharply dodge out of the way of. Pistol whip 1,000 enemies. In addition to shooting, you can melee enemies. So those enemies I was talking about that run right at you, they're designed to be meleeed. And so you just have to find a level here that has a good number of them that you can pistol whip and replay that a couple of times. I got over half of these naturally, and then I just played one level 5-6 times in a row and got the rest, so it wasn't too bad. And that was all I needed. You could tell that I finished up these harder trophies, and then I went and did this one remaining grind that I had left, and I popped the platinum. Nice 10% rarity. That is definitely overstated, I guess is how you would refer to that, because it's a VR2 game. VR platinums tend to be more rare than other platinums, and that's certainly the case with Pistol Whip, because the platinum in totality takes maybe 4 hours, 5 hours, and is not too difficult at all. So, yeah. Also, this game is available on PlayStation Plus, or it was one of the free games, I think, on PlayStation Plus. So, one to go check out. And then, as I'm always working on, I did a little bit of Super Beat Xonic. This is kind of my long-term project, although I'm hitting the point where all I really have left now is the really hard stuff that I might literally not be good enough to do. Like, actually might be too hard for me. I'm not a god gamer. Okay, I'm only one man with only so much time. But I did unlock this one, which is all patterns cleared for all songs. This is actually, I think, kind of a mistranslation of what this trophy actually means. When you play the game, you can choose between the various button modes. There's like a 4-button mode, a 6-button mode, and what is essentially an 8-button mode. And whenever you beat a chart on one of those button modes, it unlocks that chart in freestyle. And so you'll have to play through and unlock every chart and every song, so all 3 charts on all the songs, and unlock them for freestyle. But a handful of the songs in the game come automatically unlocked on freestyle. So for those ones, you don't actually have to clear them. You just have to get the ones that you don't have unlocked, which is like 85 to 90% of them, into freestyle, and then you'll get this trophy. So this one took me a long time, because there's like, I think like 50, maybe 60 songs in the game, and they all have 3 charts. So that's 180 songs that you have to play through and pass, minus the like maybe 30 to 40 charts that you don't have to play because they're automatically unlocked. So it's like well over 100 songs that you need to play and clear. So I've been working on this one slowly over time. And we'll see if another Super Beat Xonic one comes up here. I'm not sure that it will, but my Vita near me? Usually my Vita is right on hand, but I haven't played that one. Then I decided, let's pop in a classic game, and I did a little Time Splitters on the PlayStation 5. This game got trophy patched not too long ago. And this is one of the earliest games I had growing up with the PlayStation 2. Actually, you know what? It's right here. My PlayStation 2 games happen to be behind my computer desk and camera. So there's my original copy. And You know, I enjoyed that game back in the day, but it's not one that ever like super stood out to me. So I wanted to go back and give the game another shot. You know, I wanted to see how I felt about it. And my feelings on it now are that the game, you can tell the game is very foundational and like was working towards something. I just don't think the game was quite there yet. It's pretty bare bones. You're basically just doing like arena style shooting with bots. So there's not too much in the way of a story or anything. You're just choosing levels from a menu. And so I think Time Splitters 2 is when they really hit their stride, which I played Time Splitters 2 earlier this year on Xbox backwards compatibility. So yeah, in order to get the platinum, you just have to knock out all the levels on the normal difficulty. And that will unlock some other stuff that you're going to need. You got to complete any story level with full health. That one's nice because you don't actually have to beat the level without getting hit, which would be way harder. You just have to finish a level with full health. So there's a couple of levels where, well, actually most levels, you are going to a place and then you're doubling back to the beginning of the level. And so if you leave a bunch of the health packs towards the beginning of the level unused, you can collect them all on your way back and you'll probably finish a level with full health. Not too bad. And then the actual difficult trophies are going to be these challenge mode trophies. So 1C, 2C, 3C. So there's these groups of challenge levels that put you into like unique conditions different from the main game. So like, you know, these duck themed ones, it'll be you'll be dropped into an arena with like 8 different duck enemies and you'll have 5 minutes and they'll say, you know, kill 100 ducks. And you just have to like really quickly run around the level, pop, 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 shoot all of them, knock them down, take care of it. And most of these challenges are actually pretty fun. They're very creative. I think they're a lot better than the main game themselves. But some of them are pretty tough, man. Some of them are brutal. Like these, there was some in the Undead Mansion area that were really quite hard. And I gotta say, I'll admit right now, I was using that rewind feature, okay? I live in the rewind life, okay? And without it, I don't think I would have gotten this. If that rewind feature didn't exist, I think that these trophies would all be like half the rarity. Because some of them are really rough if you can't like revert back and double back to a spot where you were a little bit more safe. Because you have to like survive waves and waves of enemies without dying otherwise. So, I mean, it didn't take too long. You can see I started this game on the 7th. I actually streamed this game, so I got through pretty much most of the main game during my stream. And then I went and cleaned it up off stream, did most of it on the 10th. And we'll jump to the next page. And you can see here hiding at the bottom, we have Old Time Classic. Unlock all trophies in Time Splitters. So good to do that. I will definitely move forward with that series and get the other Time Splitters trophies and other Time Splitters Platinums as well, especially 2, because 2's in a phenomenal game. And I'd be happy to replay it. I'm just going to give it a little bit of time, right? Since I played it earlier this year, I'll give it another year, maybe 2, and then I'll go back and revisit it. And then I'll be excited to go to Future Perfect after that, because I haven't played Future Perfect back since the original Xbox. So probably 2006 is when I first played that game. Well, it's been a long time. And then the game that I've been working on that has been assigned to me by Matt Kuhl, my trophy rival of the day, is Hades. It's not really my rival. It's kind of a collaborative process, as many of you have seen. But yeah, my friend assigns me games from my backlog. These are games that I've already earned some trophies on, and I am tasked with going and cleaning up the platinum on those backlog games. So it's a good way to motivate myself to get through my backlog of games that I already kind of started and walked away from. Hades is the one I've been working on right now as a result of that. And so what I've been doing is I have kind of a routine where in the mornings I drop my son off at daycare, and then I get home and I have about an hour before my workday starts, depending on when he wakes up, when we get out of the house, stuff like that. But I have to drop him off a little bit earlier than the workday because otherwise he'll miss breakfast at his daycare. So I get home, I have about an hour, and I'll usually use that time to do about 2 runs of Hades, which is perfect because I'm just slowly chipping away at this platinum. So some of these you'll see exist like in morning hours with morning timestamps. But yeah, I just did a lot of miscellaneous stuff. I unlocked all the keepsakes, got one of my weapon aspects maxed out, paid for 50 jobs from the contractor, just various things, nothing too crazy. And I'm still working on this one. It's not done yet, but I'm getting a lot closer. You'll see some other trophies crop up as we get later in the month. But man, Hades is just so good. I don't know if you've gone back to Hades in the last couple of years, but do yourself a favor. Do a couple of Hades runs because it's really quite enjoyable. And I think it's got a really good platinum. It's very fun. I know some people have some frustration with the platinum because they feel like there's like RNG to when certain storylines progress, and that's true. But I think if you know the game even somewhat, and you know kind of the rhythm and who to give your like nectars to, as long as you're maxing those characters consistently, I don't think I'm going to have to do any extra grinding at all. I think the platinum kind of very cleanly works out where after about 50-60 hours of playing the game, you'll just kind of naturally hit everything around the same time. I have no worries about it at all. Then I played a brand new game that just came out, and that is Neva. So this is the follow-up game from Nomada Studio. Folks that made Grease. Grease, a game that I absolutely love. Beautiful. I don't even know if it's like watercolor. It's something. Just gorgeous artwork. Excellent soundtrack. Really great puzzle platformer. So I was obviously very excited about Neva, which is their follow-up. You know, it's got definitely some Gree elements to it, and then also borrows a lot from Ghibli in particular. There's some enemies that are like basically exactly No Face from Studio Ghibli movies, if you've ever watched any of those. And yeah, it's, if you like Gree, you're gonna like this game. It's kind of more of that. The hook of this one is that Neva is your companion, and you're playing as this older woman, and the two of you are working together. And as you can tell from the trophies, it takes place across seasons. So fall part 1, summer part 2, etc. So you start in the summer. And what's nice about it is that you get to see your companion grow up. You know, you get to see the wolf grow up. Meaning you'll start in summer and, you know, they're like kind of a young pup. They're playful. They're distractible. You know, be walking by and they'll get distracted kind of batting at berries that are hanging off of a tree or branches of a willow. And they're nervous, you know, they're cautious. You'll get to a gap that they need to jump across that they can jump across, but they'll be scared to jump across it. They're not sure if they're going to make it, so you have to kind of stand at the edge and comfort them and say, hey, it's okay, you can make it, I'll catch you, stuff like that. And then as you progress through the game, Neva becomes older, becomes a lot more confident, becomes more capable, actually kind of goes from being the one who needs to be taken care of to the one who's sort of protecting you and your main character. And so there's some really interesting development that I haven't really seen in too many other games at all. So I'm going to shoot past the trophy list because I don't remember if there's any spoilers, but I will say that I did end up getting the platinum, as we'll see here in a minute. I started that on the 11th, and then I switched to playing Hades again, you know, got some more miscellaneous trophies done there, and then boom, 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 Neva on the 12th. And then right here at the bottom, you can see I unlocked the platinum, which is you can't see it's behind my face, but it's a 53% rarity, so it's very easy. All you got to do, play through the game. There's a couple of miscellaneous trophies in various levels where you basically have to, like, do some specific actions or go to some specific places, things like that. And then you'll have to find all the collectibles. But I actually found all of the collectibles except for one of them naturally on my first playthrough, so they're not too terribly difficult to find. And it's actually kind of nice because when you get all the collectibles, you get a little extra scene that you can view that gives the story a little bit more context, because it's got kind of an interesting ending that I think is that extra scene helps, is what I'll say. I don't want to give anything away or lead people to think in a particular direction, but that extra scene gives some welcome clarity and a little extra context to what that ending was trying to tell you. Then back on that Hades grind, you know, again, 8, 9 in the morning is around when I'm usually playing that. And a lot of these are just things that happen naturally as playing through, you know, did enough to get to the administrative chamber, got a loyalty card, get 50 enchantments, purge a legendary boon. This is one of those that hurts to do, but if you know the trophy's there, you want to get it out of the way quick. And then, you know, just kind of building currency and getting more stuff out of that. And that brings us to mid-November, where my wife and I fell back into the Overcooked rabbit hole. So you can see we started working our way through the DLCs. So this is the Campfire Cook-Off world. And we played through and got 3 stars on every single level in this DLC pack. There's 4 DLC packs in Overcooked that have trophies. There's a few more that don't have trophies. And they pretty much all follow the same template. You beat all of the worlds, which is usually about 15 stages or so. You have to get 3 stars on every level, and then there's always 1 or 2 miscellaneous trophies that are usually like do X number of actions. And what's weird, maybe they assume the levels are going to take you more tries or something. The X number of actions trophies, I never unlocked naturally as we were playing through the DLCs. I always had to go back and grind them out after the fact. Now, most of them don't take more than like 5-10 minutes to just knock out real quick. You know, like this one, burn 300 pieces of wood. There's a mechanic where in a level you can cut up wood and set it into a furnace, which you need to do to have the heat to cook things. Once you know that you need to do that, you can just chop, 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 throw, chop, 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 throw, and you'll knock that out very quickly. But like, I only had like maybe 120 pieces of wood total after playing through all the levels in the DLC. So they're just a little bit strange, a little bit odd that they want you to grind these ones out, or they expect it to take a little bit longer than it actually does. But yeah, on the 15th, we played through and we unlocked all of those for the Campfire Cook-Off DLC. Then we got fully unlocked the Olympians Codex entries. I don't even know what I did to get that. That one just popped as I was playing Hades. Okay, so now we're back on the Classics collection, and we're playing Mr. Mosquito. So actually, I played this, you can tell, November 16th. My podcast, which there's always links to in the description if you're interested. I actually have 2 podcasts. One is called Polykill, which is a podcast focused on finishing your backlog and kind of celebrating the games that our community beats. And the other is Indie Quest, which is focused on indie games. That's why I played Neva, because I was going to bring that one to the show. It's kind of like we all bring games to the show every episode. But every year, we do a charity stream for a different charity. This year we were doing it for the ISP, the International Association for Suicide Prevention. And everyone from the various podcast hosts across all the podcasts on that network and some community members all volunteered their time. Everyone took 1 to 2 hour blocks in a 24-hour stream, and we streamed various games. And I'm known amongst those folks for playing kind of janky, kind of weird games, and so I wanted to revisit Mr. Mosquito, which is a game I'd already played before back on the PS2. You know, I purchased this game back in 2003 because that kind of sicko, but I figured it'd be fun to revisit it for this charity stream. And so that's what I did. It was me playing through this, and I wasn't going for trophies or anything like that at the time. I was just playing through it. But of course, once I started unlocking the trophies, I wanted to get the platinum. So I think during that stream, I got through World 8, maybe? There's trophies for finishing every world. Yeah, so you can see I get up through World 8 at the time. And then that's when my time ended, so I stopped. And then you can see I finished that charity stream. This is the story the timestamps tell. I finished that up. And then I went out to the living room and I did a run or 2 of Hades because I was coming down from the stream high. And then the next day, I went and I finished the game up. So you have to clear one of the last levels without losing a life, and then finish the 12th stage, which is the final stage. So I went and I cleaned that up. And then we get to these trophies here. Well, this cyclist minigame is just you have to input like a code on the menu to play it. That's not really anything. But an overall stage time attack and battle time attack record of various times. So the way that this works is the game keeps track of how fast you beat each level and how fast you won each battle. So if you've never played Mr. Mosquito, you're flying around, you're trying to find opportunities to bite the various members of this family. And you have kind of like a stealth meter, Metal Gear Solid style, where you can hide from the Yamadas. You know, you're hiding behind the stereo, you're waiting for your moment. And if you're really stealthy about it, they'll never even know you were there. They'll never even know that you got a bite. But if they see you, you'll go into this battle mode where you have to attack what they call relaxation points. And when you hit all of them, they like are pacified and then go back to what they were doing, and you can go in and get your bite. And so to get the stage time attack, you just have to beat all 12 stages with a total time under 30 minutes. That wasn't too bad. If you kind of are like focused and know what you're doing, I think I had to play every level like twice to get the time down low enough. But you have to like add them up yourself and be like, okay, what levels do I feel like I have opportunity to improve? And then a battle time attack of 4 minutes or less. So this one I had to do a little more work for because many of the levels I had finished without ever getting into a battle. So I had to purposefully get into the battles to do it. And then you have to be very, very quick. Now, some of these battles, if you know where the points are and you're well positioned, can literally take 5 seconds. Like, you can just go bam and fly into the spot, especially in the earlier stages. But some of the later ones, not so much. You have to be a lot more intentional and have really good execution and a little bit of luck in some cases. So this one was a little bit tougher, which is I think why this one is a little bit rarer than this one. Although again, both of these do have the option of the rewind feature, which makes them a little bit more manageable. So I knocked those out, and you'll see more Mr. Mosquito in a minute. Then we did more of the Carnival of Chaos across 2 nights. So this is the second DLC pack in Overcooked 2 that my wife and I are playing through. And again, follows that same structure. You get 3 stars on every level, and then in this one you have to fire a chef from a cannon 100 times, which is something that we had to grind out afterwards. This one we spread across 2 nights. Usually we were knocking it out 1 DLC a night, but it took 2 nights for us to get this one just because I think we had a little bit less time available, or the levels were a little bit longer or something like that. But it wasn't too bad. My wife is very good at Overcooked 2. She definitely hard carries when we play. I will like get overwhelmed by the things happening, and sometimes I'll just like stand there in a panic and just watch. But she's always like very efficient at what she's doing. She's always aware of the situation. She's not letting any like catastrophes rise up. If I say like, you know, if I'm working on something and I'm just like pomegranate, she knows exactly what I mean. She knows, does that mean that he needs to have me grab a pomegranate? Does that mean that he needs me to cut a pomegranate? Does that mean that he has cut a pomegranate that I need to add to a plate? She'll instantly figure it out from context without me having to explain it. So very grateful that she's so good at that game, because otherwise these would be a lot harder. She's definitely the carry, and I'm definitely getting pulled through the dungeon on that one. Mr. Mosquito happened right in the middle of that. I found all the extra blood tanks. We'll talk about that here in a little bit, because there's something else that goes along with this. This is basically a collectible. It's the easiest collectible to find. And then on the 18th, we started the Night of the Hangry Horde, which is the 3rd DLC and my favorite of the DLCs that we played through. This is kind of like a, you know, Night of the Living Dead themed one, a little bit Halloween themed with moldy bread. And I really like this one because there's a horde mode where, like, as you progress, you earn money, which is your score in Overcooked, but as you progress in the levels of the horde mode, you can use that score to purchase like shortcuts that open up sections of the level that make it more efficient to make the items. And so the levels are a little bit longer, but you can actually like kind of pre-prepare some items in advance. You know, if it's a level that's all focused around pizzas, usually you'll be making either a cheese pizza or a pepperoni pizza or a sausage pizza. But if you have some extra time in the horde mode or in between waves, you can like prepare all the ingredients for a cheese pizza, and then as soon as you see it come up that's a pepperoni pizza, then all you need to do is quickly chop a pepperoni and throw it in the oven. So it saves you some time. So it makes it a little bit more like strategic, and it makes you feel more efficient as you're playing through the levels in those ones. And yeah, we did pretty good. We got through the first 2 worlds that night, because we started it up after we finished up the Carnival of Chaos ones. And then we get to the rest of Mr. Mosquito here. So clear the 2nd year, 100% item recovery rate, and of course the platinum. So this is the last thing I needed to do for the platinum. And this is why I think the platinum is a sub 10%, is you have to do some collectible hunting, and it is pretty brutal. So first off, before that, you have to play through a 2nd year of the game, which is basically a New Game Plus playthrough, but the enemies are a little bit more aggressive, and they're a little bit harder if you get into a battle with them. They have like more of those relaxation points. But 100% item recovery rate, you have to find every item in all 12 levels. And these are big, like, open rooms that you're flying around in. And you don't actually see the collectible until you're pretty close to it. Like, it won't appear until you're pretty close to it. And they are tiny. They're so easy to overlook. And so you have to get every blood tank, which is the trophy we saw earlier. You have to get every healing item. Even if you don't need to use it, you have to collect every healing item. There's a hidden piece of food in every level that gives you, like, hints on how the game works. And then the big one is there's these heart coins. And every 50 heart coins you get one more health. But they are so small and so hard to find, and they're so tucked out of the way. So what I ended up doing, because there's not much in the way of, like, real guides, and even the guides that are there, it can be tricky because there's no way in the game to track what ones you have and what ones you don't. Like, if you have 99.5% of the items in the game, you would have no idea which level you're missing the items in. So you really have to kind of start from the beginning and follow a guide. So during my second year playthrough, I actually pulled up a 100% speed run of the game and followed the speedrunner who was doing a 100% speed run to figure out where everything was. And then what I would do is I would pause it in between every stage, and I would look at what is their item percentage, their item recovery rate, and make sure that I had the exact same percentage. And if I didn't, it meant that while I was watching his video, I missed something, and I would rewatch that level and go back and find the stuff that I missed. So it was pretty intense. Took a little bit of time to actually get, but I'm happy to have that one on my profile because this is the type of game that I just love. Just a great game. Then on the 19th, my wife and I finished up the rest of the Night of the Hangry Horde. So this is the third DLC pack in Overcooked 2 that we did not yet have. And played a little more Hades, knocked out forging a bond with any character. Pretty easy one to get. You'll just get it naturally as you play through. And then we went and finished the rest of the Overcooked DLC. So what that meant is we finished all of Surf and Turf, which is the last DLC that we did, which has like a kind of a tropical theme and a fish and chips type theme. And then we had a couple miscellaneous trophies across the various DLCs that we did not have, so we went and cleaned all those up. These are kind of the ones that I cleaned a lot of them up on my own when we weren't playing because it's just kind of repetitive, but these are the ones that were way more efficient to do with a partner. So like add ketchup and mustard to a recipe. You have to cook a burger in order to place either of these ingredients on it. So rather than, like slowly and painstakingly by myself cook a burger, add ketchup to one and knock it out, instead she and I just replayed a level that was focused on ketchup and mustard burgers over and over and over again to try to get a higher score and just unlock that one naturally by playing the game. And then using the bellows on the barbecue, that one's really easy, and washing dirty plates with the gun. We did the same thing where we just played through levels that kind of had a high rate of turnaround in terms of your dirtying up the plates, like you are delivering a lot of meals. And we just made sure that in all of our various roles that we've assigned to each other, that I was the one who was responsible for cleaning the plates. So that way, rather than make these just monotonous grinds, they were just good incentive for us to go back and clean them up and get the last few trophies in a fun way. And that feels good because that was the last one I needed. Now my Overcooked 2 has all the DLC complete, and it's another 100% on my account. So I have all of the first Overcooked and all of the second Overcooked that my wife have played through both of those with me. And she and I are probably at some point going to do the all-you-can-eat edition just because we always want more Overcooked to play. It's one of our favorite games. And where's my Overcooked 3? Give me Overcooked 3. And I continued to play Hades because that's the type of fellow that I am. And we just knocked out a couple of prophecies. This one was actually pretty tough. This harsh conditions, you got to be built to some tougher stuff to get that one. You have to clear a run with every single heat modifier. Not all at once, but you have to have cleared a run with at least every different modifier one time. So you can kind of do them one at a time, or you can do them in batches of 3 or 4. But one of those modifiers makes the enemies a 20% stronger and attack 20% faster, I think it is. And I was getting smoked. Getting smoked on that last boss. It's like I'd never played this game at all before. You would swear that I was a Hades newbie. But after like 4 failed attempts, after I stopped choking, I finally pulled up my big boy britches and we knocked that one out. So just more Hades progress. Then I started a 2024 game that I've been very interested in trying. That is Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore. So I got to set this game up for you. There is a system that few people have ever played called the Philips CDI. So if you look in the corner of this game I'm holding up here, CDI. This is a mid-90s console that came out in that wave of like CD-based, video-based sort of multimedia systems / game systems. So, you know, same era as like the 3DO and stuff like that. But the CDI was very much like a mix of interactive software, educational software, and games. And I acquired a CDI earlier this year, and I've been streaming games for that over on my Twitch page. So you can, that's in the link to the description too. You can come hang out on Twitch if you want to see that, or other stuff that I stream. And I've been loving the CDI. And then this game came out, which is a new release. It's an indie game that came out in 2024 that is calling back to the era of CDI games, specifically calling back to the janky Legend of Zelda games that are on the CDI. Many people probably have seen those in like YouTube videos and stuff like that. And so it's kind of like, it's a good game that's designed to be a little bit bad, but in a good way, which is kind of silly to say, but it works well. I streamed this game, so the 21st is the day that I streamed it. And really, you just have to play through the entire game. And then you have to do a couple of extra playthroughs. So I beat the whole game. I actually beat it naturally without any health upgrades because there's only 2 or 3, and I didn't earn any of them on my first playthrough. So I beat the game with no health upgrades. Then I collected all the sacred candles, which are just kind of like an in-level collectible. Then I went back and found all the life upgrades and completed all the side quests and got all the power-ups and all the special coins and all the bonus games. So this is all of these trophies here build towards this 100% completion. And that was kind of my first playthrough. So I beat the game without those health upgrades. Then it lets you go back to your save file before the final boss. I went back, I cleaned up everything I missed, and I beat the game again for 100% completion. But that wasn't it, because then you unlock a boss rush mode. You have to beat the boss rush mode, which thankfully is painfully easy, because the bosses are the easiest part of this game. It's like, it takes like 5 minutes to beat all the bosses back to back. Then you unlock hero mode, which is a harder difficulty. Really, it's just that enemies take more damage, or enemies deal more damage and have more health, but otherwise the game is the same. So it's not really that much harder, especially because the game is very forgiving. If you die, you just respawn at the beginning of the room that you died in. So this was pretty easy. It took like an hour to go through the game a second time and beat it on hero mode. And I paired that with this Your Sword Is Not Enough trophy. So you have a sword and a gun in the game, and the gun is actually kind of like it's how you deal elemental magic damage. And what's mostly important is that is how you open barriers that block the level, because the game kind of has a Metroid thing going on where you need to find certain colored spells in some levels to open up pathways in other levels. But you can, if you know how to do it, get an upgrade for your sword early on, kind of a sequence break a little bit, and it means you never have to collect the gun. And so they made a trophy for you beating the game without collecting that gun, which is pretty fun. So I paired that with my hero mode playthrough to knock both of those out. Really wasn't too bad at all. Brief aside, I guess I did not finish it here, so we're going to come back to Arzette in a minute. But I think this is my most recent Super Beat Xonic trophy. All these rhythm games, all these like DJ Max games, and oh, here we jumped into this. We didn't mean to, so let's go back. All these Super Beat Xonic games, DJ Max games, they all have a trophy for getting whatever the max combo is in that game. In Super Beat Xonics, it's 99999. So that means that your combo, which is cumulative between songs, it carries over from song to song, has to hit the maximum, which basically means in this game like playing 40 to 50 songs if they're of a high enough difficulty without ever breaking your combo. which sounds scary, but it's actually more of a grind than difficult, because if you do break your combo, you can just restart the song, and as long as you don't go back to the main menu, when you click restart, it brings you to the beginning of the song with the combo you had when you chose that song originally. So you can undo your mistake. Also, Super Beat Xonic in particular is extra generous because you can equip these various kind of buffs, and there's a whole bunch of them, you know, ones that make it so you recover health faster, or you maintain kind of like the fever mode, which is sort of like the star power for longer. But one of those you can find is what's called a break shield, which is for the first X number of notes that you miss, you'll maintain your combo. And once you get into the later levels, you'll get like 50 break shield buffs. So you could play through a song and miss 50 notes before you actually break your combo, which means you're just never going to break your combo as long as it's not like the hardest song in the game. So this one just kind of happened as I worked towards it over time. Wasn't too bad. Then I started a new game, which I have not gone all the way through, but I wanted to check it out because I read the manga earlier this year, actually, and that's Sandland. So I'd never even heard of this property, really, until they announced the game, and the game got me interested in the manga, especially because a good buddy of mine, Ri Louie, is into this one. And so I was like, yeah, let's check this one out. And I gotta say, it's a very charming open world game. It's different from other open worlds because it's like got tank combat, so you're either on foot or you're in like this rickety old military tank that you stole, and so it's more vehicular combat than it is ground combat, but there is like ground based, you know, combo based damage and stuff like that too. So yeah, Akira Toriyama art for the characters, very fun, very playful. The game looks really good and plays really well. It's just, this is an open world game, so you can imagine what the trophy list is like. It's go everywhere, do everything, you know, 60, 70 hour trophy list. So I have since kind of put this one down because I've been playing some other 2024 stuff, but I will come back to this one at some point and clean it up. I enjoyed my time with it. So all this is just kind of what I unlocked naturally. And then I, of course, went back to Arzette, and when you beat Hero Mode, you unlock Classic Mode, which has the same difficulty modifiers as Hero Mode, but for some reason you can't pause unless you're ducking, which I think must be how the original Zelda games played. I have not played those games yet. So that was the last one I needed, and that popped the trophy for me. So we unlocked the Arzette Platinum. And got that on the 24th of November, which felt good. Knocked out a few more Hades trophies. First is earn the first of Skelly's prizes, and then the second of Skelly's prizes. These are basically for beating runs at heat level 8 and heat level 16, which if you've played Hades, that will make sense. That wasn't too bad. And then get 30% bonus damage with the Pierced Butterfly. You could reword this to basically say clear 15 rooms without taking damage. So it was a little tight. I think I actually got this one on the very last chamber before the final boss. But it's, if you are playing strategic and you're playing defensive, especially if you're using the shield weapon, you'll get it within a couple of runs. But these ones were the last like skill-based, like difficulty-based trophies that I needed, which was nice. Because now I just need to keep playing long enough to like build my relationships and see more of the story and complete more of the side quests, which means I can sort of play at my own pace without even worrying. I can play whatever weapon I want. I can play on whatever heat I want. It's all just down to me enjoying the game. So it was kind of freeing to knock these 3 out, which felt good. Oh, I did knock a couple more Xonic. I forgot about these ones. So DJ level 99, you just earn experience as you play the game. Those buffs that I mentioned, you can get buffs to experience, so you'll just probably play with one of the ones that doubles your experience. And after you play enough songs, you'll hit level 99. Not too bad, but it probably takes, you know, I've been playing this game 30, 40 hours, so it's not like it's quick by any means. And it's funny because this Bang Vox Achieved, you unlock this key sound as your reward for hitting 99. So you'll always get these two together. If you ever see someone whose timestamps are not very close between these two trophies, it means that they were doing something naughty on their Vita. All right. Played a little more Sandland and a little more Hades. Just filled in one more of the prophecies. And then my most recent addiction kicks in. And this is, I think, going to bring us through the end of November, right? Yeah. So this is the last game we have here. Big game for 2024 that I had not played until now, and that's Balatro. So Balatro's a card, like a poker card based roguelike. And I actually wanted to check this out just before I do my Game of the Year stream. So every year I do a Game of the Year stream where I go through every single game I played that released in 2024. I whittle the list down to 10, and then I build it up into a ranked list from 10 to 1. So if you want to come watch that stream, it's always one of my favorites of the year. It's always kind of like well attended, and we have a lot of fun. We do some look back and some statistics of my game playing through that year. Again, Twitch link in the description. But this is a big game from 2024 that I hadn't tried, and so I wanted to have experience with it. And so actually on Thanksgiving, I downloaded the mobile version of the game and was playing it. We went to my wife's parents' house, and we were heading there a little bit early. So I knew there'd be some downtime, like between when we got there and when we were eating, where there was just kind of like we're all hanging out and talking, watching football or whatever. And I knew I'd have some downtime, so I played Balatro on my phone, and it like immediately got its hooks into me. It's so fun. So that weekend I came home, downloaded it on my PlayStation, and every day I've been playing Balatro now. I've only had this game for like a week, and I've put like 30 plus hours into it. It's so freaking good. So I unlocked, beating Ante-8 is how you win a run. So these are kind of the basic ones. Play a Royal Flush, get 10,000 chips in a single hand. Those aren't too bad. Discover a legendary Joker. You can only discover them from a particular type of card, which is not very common, but you'll get it pretty... If you're playing, you'll definitely unlock it. Earn 1,000,000 chips in a single hand. And then win runs on black and red stake difficulties. These are just like difficulty modifiers, very similar to Heat in Hades. And there's a bunch of collection-based ones. So this is where I end in November, so we'll call it there. But yeah, I'm really, really enjoying Balatro. I'm not going to go for the platinum right now. This is the type of platinum that I'll earn over the course of years, because you have to do a lot. You have to beat the game hundreds of times. It's like hundreds and hundreds of hour platinum, because you need to, well, there's like 15 or 20 different decks in the game, and you need to beat all of them at least 10 times to earn the gold stake, the highest difficulty level stamp on those decks. And then across all of your gold stake runs, so all of your hardest runs, you have to beat the game with each of the jokers in the game, and there's 150 jokers, and they appear randomly. So you need to have beat every deck with every joke, well, not with every joker, but every deck and every joker, all in the hardest difficulty, and it's completely random. So it's like you're going to be playing for so long. So it's not even worth going for trophies, really, so much as it is just keep playing the game, keep loving it, and you'll slowly work your way towards it over time. But yeah, play Balatro, that game rules. It's so good. So that's everything I earned in November 2024. Next month we'll do a wrap up, and we'll also next month do some year end sort of trophy videos, so look forward to that. Hopefully you'll stick around, subscribe if you want, and yeah, see ya. Peace.